Hey class, in this video I'm going to show you how to use Bridge's export feature. When sharing your images, sometimes you don't necessarily need to share the image in its entirety, meaning its full size. When you're shooting for this class, you'll be shooting high resolution JPEGs, which result in very large file sizes. When you're sharing images on the internet, let's say on social media, Facebook, Instagram, or even on Canvas on the discussion board, let's say, you don't necessarily have to post the highest resolution image. In fact, it's ideal if it's not a full resolution image. It'll be a lot faster for the upload, and the larger file size doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a better image when you're just viewing it on the internet. So in order to export an image for a smaller file size and file dimension, what we could do is create what's called an export preset. So right now I'm in Bridge under the export tab, and I'm going to create my own preset. Towards the bottom of the screen there is this plus sign, and if you put your mouse over it long enough, it'll say new preset. I'm going to click on that, and it's going to ask me several questions with regards to setting up this particular preset. First of all, we need to give it a name. I'm going to call this the discussion preset, because this preset is about exporting images that will be appropriate in size for posting in a discussion board on Canvas. And so the next option it's asking is, where would you like the image to be exported to? To make this really easy for me to find on my computer when I want to export an image, or I'm sorry, post an image to the discussion, I'll just put the image on the desktop. So when I click on export to, I'm going to select specific folder, and then the browse button here will appear, and I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to select desktop. Okay, so it'll bring up this window, a Mac Finder if you're on the Mac, or if you're on Windows, it'll open up this window, a Window Explorer window, in order for you to locate your desktop. Usually it's on the left side as a shortcut or under Favorite. So click on Desktop and click Open. So any image that uses this export will now be exported to the desktop. However, I would like to put it in a specific subfolder. I don't know about you, but I sometimes have a bunch of stuff on the desktop, and I want to separate these images from my other files on my desktop. So what I'm going to do is put this discussion posts as the subfolder name that will be created on the desktop. So anytime I use this discussion preset, any image that is exported through this preset will be saved on the desktop in this subfolder called discussion posts. Okay, so that's the logistic portion of this preset. Now we gotta configure what size do we want the image to be, and what image quality. Under image format, we're gonna make sure it says JPEG. If it doesn't, make sure it does say JPEG. And for image quality, we don't need it to be like 100% quality. We want to be able to reduce the file size, and I tend to put like 8 there. That's around maybe 80% quality, which is good enough. And you're not going to see the difference between this and then, let's say, 100%, like, or 10 would be the 100%. Is it 10? Sorry, 12. 12 is the maximum here. You won't be able to see a difference when you're looking at an image on the internet. So 8 is good enough. And then I'm going to scroll down to the image size. Now we don't want it to be 100% in size, because these images are fairly large coming out of your camera. We need to resize them smaller, so that way the file size will be smaller, and the dimensions will be smaller. So I'll click on the resize radio button here in order for us to enable this area, and we can specify what file size, the dimensions of the file. What I like to do is I like to select fit. Um, I would like the image to fit the long edge of the file. What this means is that when you're selecting long edge, it's going to modify the longest edge of the file. So if you're shooting, like, say, a landscape, your camera is horizontal. The longest edge is from left to right. If you turned your camera vertically to shoot, let's say, a person, that would mean the longest edge is top to bottom. Okay, so I just want the longest edge, regardless of if it's left to right or top to bottom. I want it to be. I'm gonna put like 800 pixels. All right, that's plenty of length or height for an image to be posted on the discussion. That's a big enough size. All right, and then the resolution, we're going to reduce it. This will drastically reduce the file size. 300 is meant for print, but this image is not going to be printed. It's just going to be posted on the internet. And the magic number for the resolution on the internet is 72. It's a much smaller resolution. It isn't print quality, but that's okay. We're not going to print. And this smaller resolution number will drastically reduce the file size. So your file will be much more manageable when you are going to upload it to Canvas. All right, and then we leave the don't enlarge checked, and then that is it. So when I hit save, I have this new preset here called discussion preset. That's all ready to go. So if I pick an image, let's say it's this one, I want to use this one for a discussion post. I simply just click and drag that image to the discussion preset that I just created and let go. And right now it's in the queue, and it has one job and one file as indicated here. That didn't automatically export. You actually have to execute the export, and by doing that you can click on the start export button here. When I click on that, it's going to bring up this export progress window, and it's going to go really fast because it's only one image. And if you notice that I had other previous exports that executed already, you see that the latest one is here, discussion preset, and you notice where it went to the desktop discussion post. So that's done. I'm going to clear all these jobs now, and I'm going to hit close, and I'm going to go to my desktop, and see if it created it. And there it is. There is the folder called discussion posts. That was part of the export preset. We indicated we wanted to put it on the desktop in a subfolder called discussion posts, and here's the file. And if I look at the dimensions on this file, you'll notice that 800 pixels, that's the longest edge, and the longest edge on this image is going left to right. So this from left to right is no more than 800 pixels in length. If this was shot vertically, then top to bottom would be no longer than 800. So that's how that works when you specify the longest edge. Okay, so this is significantly smaller in size. It's only 96K. It's really small and manageable, but it is big enough for to be seen in a discussion. This is actually not the size that you would see it. This is only a thumbnail. If I were to hit the spacebar here on Mac, it kind of gives you a preview of what size it is, and that's kind of how big it would be on the discussion, and that's plenty big enough for a discussion. So once that's done, you can repeat this process until you've completed the export process in terms of numbers of images you need for a particular discussion. Some discussions will require one, maybe two, and you just repeat this process. You pick another image, and then you just click and drag it to the preset, and then you click on the start export. So if I'm ready to post that image, I go to my canvas, and there's this discussion here. I click on that, and then if I'm ready to post something, I just click on reply, and then you can, to embed an image, you would click on this icon here that looks like a picture. I click on that, and then I'm gonna click on this to find the image, and the image is under on my desktop. It's right there. Discussion posts, and then there's the image, and then I can just go ahead and click return, and there's the post. I'm gonna hit submit, and so there now it's in this discussion. Had I not done this, if I didn't change the size of this image, what you would see is this image taking up the entire width of this area of the discussion area here, which would make it difficult for other people to see your image without having to scroll vertically and horizontally. Okay, so that is it for creating an export preset on Bridge.